Good morning, it's mornings on TV with Luann and Tim, and the sun just popped out just for us. Just like that.
Good morning, Luann.
How are you?
I don't know.
Apparently I don't either.
I just sat down.
Yes. We were running around a little bit this morning.
Well, you know what it is? It's those crazy police officers.
Yes. We're trying to find where they are.
Where in the world is, you know that game, Where in the World
Yes.
is Carmen Sandiego?
Yeah.
Where in the world is Monique Baker?
Where's Waldo?
We have Monique Baker and Sean Boyle. Monique is from the OPP, she's a sergeant, and Sean is a constable from the city police force, and they are doing an amazing thing. They're in the process of running across Northern Ontario, and this is all in support of the Special Olympics that are coming to Sault Ste. Marie in January of 2019, and the police are a huge support of the Special Olympics. So to promote the Special Olympics, and as a lead up to the Bridge Walk this coming Saturday, Monique and Sean are running across Northern Ontario and taking pictures and sending us video as they go. So we were looking this morning going, where did they end up?
Where's the picture? Where are they?
So yesterday we saw them taken off from the Soo.
Yes.
And they made it to Wawa. And
so they got there.
They did.
Oh,
I
good.
They sent a picture from Wawa.
Okay, we're going to take a look.
There we go, Mike.
Oh, there they are.
Look at all those kids.
Wow, that's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
And they're still alive. Look at the one on the left of your screen there.
Holy. And they got the Torch Run banner there. Isn't that great? So
That's
they're in
awesome.
Wawa. And I believe they were heading up to, I think they were heading we're going to hear from them at the mid-show.
Yes. Yeah, they're going to check in with us. So we're going to find out exactly where they are. We know they got to Wawa. Yeah. Did they leave Wawa? Did they sleep in?
You know what? Why would you want to leave Wawa?
Really? The Twin Cities of Wawa. Why would you?
I've never heard that before.
Oh, no?
The Twin Cities of Wawa.
Yeah, the Twin Cities of Wawa.
Keith was born. Keith is from White River originally. And of course, there was no hospital there, so he had to go to Wawa to be born. And he always says, Wawa. Where, why? What? I love Wawa's a great city.
It's beautiful.
It is gorgeous.
It reminds me of Espanola a little bit. The size of it. And
not the smell of it, though.
No, not the smell.
And the people in Wawa, I've gone there many times to perform. I've been fortunate enough to get some gigs up there. And I always have a great time with the folks from Wawa. They know how to have a good time in Wawa. And in White River, too, that Winnie the Pooh Festival, you ever gone to that?
No.
Oh, come on.
Really?
Yeah, they have a place called Pooh Park.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like Bellevue Park, but it's not Goose. Anyway, no.
No Goose Pooh. Not that kind of Pooh.
No, it is. It's called Pooh Park because, of course, White River was the home of Winnie the Pooh. And so there's a whole park dedicated to Pooh, Winnie the Pooh.
And they do festivals.
They have a Winnie the Pooh festival.
Stop it.
It's just like our Rotary Fest, only it's about Pooh.
It's about Pooh.
Well, Winnie the Pooh.
Rotary or Pooh.
Yeah.
You know.
No, they have a parade. They have a Pooh. They have a Pooh parade.
They have a Pooh parade. You know what? Whatever you need to find to celebrate.
You've heard of Pooh parade. This is like that. I mean, it's a parade. It's a Pooh parade.
That's hilarious.
Oh, I'm getting told to check my microphone.
Check your mic.
I don't know
You probably blew it out with your laughter.
For a second.
Okay, I'm going to just talk for a second.
What did you do
We have
yesterday?
Yesterday, I hosted Girls' Night.
My microphone's not on, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, so there you go. He's been wonderful. It's a shame you haven't heard a darn word he said, because he's been okay
I was
this
so
morning.
funny this morning.
He was hilarious.
You just missed everything.
Now the pressure's on, and he's going to be like...
I think they heard me through your mic. I think Mike had turned you up, so...
I think so.
I'm sorry, everybody.
So I hosted Girls' Night last night.
Oh, yes.
And it was awesome. Had a little bit of wine, just a little bit.
Because you know what? It was a weekday.
Well, it's like, oh, look.
It was the day starting with the day ending with a Y.
I'm on the right side of the grass, so let's have some wine. But it was fun.
How were the girls?
Oh, they're awesome.
How many come over?
Just 2. Used to be like 8.
I'm girls' night. I'm picturing like a house full of women all sitting around.
No, there used to be, yeah. But then, you know what? People wander away. Yeah. There was a time, I have to tell you, when we were at our ultimum population, that we drank 11 bottles of wine in one evening.
That was when they had 4 in the group.
Yeah. Now it's like we can barely get through one bottle.
Okay, well,
we're
that's
all kind of wussy now.
No, that's not wussy. That's good. That's
Well,
healthy.
yeah,
That's
it's healthier. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So I sort of had a hard time finding my eyeballs this morning to put makeup on, but once I did that, I'm fine now.
Oh,
really?
good.
I'm fine.
You look lovely as
Thank
always.
you.
I could never tell when
Thank
you've
you.
been up the night before.
Thank you. What did you do last night?
I hosted the auction part, the live auction. Well, I kind of hosted the whole thing. The United Way. It was the Water Tower Inn's big cup scramble for the United Way. So it was the United Way golf tournament, and the Water Tower Inn was the main sponsor. SK Group was another sponsor. Sherry Birmingham and the gang.
Yes.
Well, and then the donations for prizes were incredible, and then we had a live auction. So there were some great.
Did you have to be the auctioneer?
I was the auctioneer. No, and it was great.
That's hard.
We raised $7,000 in an hour.
That's because you gave them a hack. You were mean to them. You gave them a lecture.
Well, listen, they were amazing people. These are people who, they had a great day, they golfed, and they paid to golf. I mean, they'd already paid, which is part of the donation.
Yes, right.
And then, they were bidding on stuff, but there were a lot of really nice items that weren't getting any bids. And it was just because people, I don't know, they golfed, they were tired, they were hungry.
Yeah, they just
wanted to sit
go
down,
home,
and they wanted, So I just sort of pointed out that, the point of the silent auction and having those items out there wasn't really because any of us needed anything. I mean, you look around the room and you're seeing that these are people who could all afford to take an afternoon off and go golfing for a charity, which was wonderful that they supported the charity. But the bottom line was that this was about the United Way trying to end hunger and poverty in our community. And then I sort of linked it to the opioid crisis, talking about, we talk about having this crisis in our community, but one of the ways to fight that drug...
The results of...
Well, it's a direct result of not having a roof over your head or food in your mouth and feeling hopeless and feeling trapped and in that cycle of substance misuse and abuse. So I just sort of pointed out that, maybe go looking again.
Yeah.
Take one more look around at those
take another stroll.
and start thinking about maybe, okay, you could buy not for yourself, for somebody else.
Yeah.
Think of somebody else you might want to do that for. And half the room got up and went back out again.
Awesome.
And then when they came back in, they had this amazing spirit about them, and the auction was so much fun.
That's so
And then
good.
all of a sudden they announced they'd already raised $53,000 for that one event.
Holy moly.
Before the auction. But by the time we were all done, we'd hit $60,000.
Nice. Good for you.
In
Good
one
job.
event. So, well, good.
And everybody else.
Not good for me, yeah, but no, I just motivated them. They were already there to give. Those people were all, those golfers, those business people and the volunteers, they were there to give, and they did. They came through. This community, again, I love this city.
Oh, you know what? You can't beat Sault Ste. Marie for the giving attitude.
Well, we got to go to commercial now, Lou.
Okay.
So coming up, I met Rory Ring came in yesterday and we had a little chat.
Okay.
Because he's involved with the Bridge Walk. The Chamber of Commerce is a major sponsor of the Bridge Walk this Saturday. But we also talked a little bit about trade and what's going on between our twin cities. That's coming up in our first interview segment. And then I have Sarah McCleary coming in with Refugee 705, which is a really, really cool initiative with all of the refugees coming to our city and how we can welcome them and help them and sort of adopt them, really.
Yes, and welcome them in.
As a community, as the loving community that we are, as we continue to prove over and over again. So stay with us. We'll be back with more Mornings with Lou Ann and Tim right after this.
The U.S. Coast Guard received a report of a generator fire aboard the motor vessel Paul R. Tregurtha, a 1,000-foot bulk carrier freighter, around 4:20 yesterday morning. The vessel master reported the fire was extinguished about an hour later at 5:30 a.m. and that there were no injuries or pollution, and all 23 crew members were accounted for. The ship is actually carrying 68,200 tons of coal, 124,000 gallons of fuel, and 88,000 gallons of caustic soda. The Coast Guard dispatched resources to monitor the situation and to conduct a marine casualty investigation into the cause of that incident. The motor vessel, Paul R. Tregurtha, was anchored near Point Iroquois in Whitefish Bay. The Coast Guard cleared the motor vessel for transit to her next port of call for repairs last evening. In 2016, the brickwork on the west wall of the A Wing at Sioux Area Hospital was removed to try and find out why there was white staining. The wall was reconstructed as a test. Now, Ellis & Don Corporation will start Phase A of a building project, which will run summer-winter 2018. This focus now will be the north end of the hospital. Ellis Don has agreed to cover all costs related to the construction defects. For your safety, work areas will be clearly marked and fenced during construction. Throughout the rest of the year, multiple tradespeople will be working on scaffolding in the area. Much of the brickwork will be removed and replaced with new brick. All work will be carried out during daylight hours with minimal associated noise. Windows will be covered to respect patient privacy and confidentiality. The hospital departments affected will be human resources, the pharmacy, waste management, logistics, and the Algoma District Cancer Program. Ellis Don will work closely with SAH to ensure minimal impact on hospital operations. The city hosted a dedication ceremony yesterday renaming the Centennial Library to honor former Mayor James L. McIntyre. Mayor Christian Provenzano, city councillors Paul Christian, Susan Myers, Sandra Hollingsworth, and Matthew Shoemaker, Chair of the Sault Ste. Marie Public Library Tony Nanny Little, and members of the McIntyre family were all there for the plaque unveiling. McIntyre was an alderman from 1958 to 1959 and mayor from 1960 to 64, was instrumental in the building of the public library. Mayor Provenzano said McIntyre identified the opportunity to fund the library, and he urged City Council to support the opening of a new library that would meet the needs of a growing and changing community. And McIntyre managed just that. In 1967, the facility was opened with centennial funding. Throughout his retirement years, he was a regular visitor to the library. You can check out the plaque in the entrance area of the library. City police are currently investigating the theft of several raffle tickets that were sold for a local charity. Officers are saying that ticket stubs were stolen from the charity a short time ago. A number of people have now received a text message from the number 705-702-2424 saying that they've won the draw and asking the person to send their credit card information via text or email in order to have money deposited on the credit card. Anybody who may receive a similar message is advised not to reply and not to send any of your personal information. Charities will advise winners via a phone call that can be followed up with an official visit to the charity. Construction at the Sault Ste. Marie detachment of the OPP is taking longer than expected. Commander Staff Sergeant Mike Mayville says construction is expected to wrap up by 4 o'clock tomorrow. The OPP is asking you to refrain from attending the detachment for administration purposes, including criminal record checks or general inquiries. If you do need admin assistance, you can call the detachment at 945-6833. Don't forget, you can still call 911 in case of an emergency.
Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday Rory Ring stopped by our studio, and look, I have the bridge. Do I have the bridge behind me? There it is. There's the International Bridge, because Rory is the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, and he wanted to come on and talk a little bit about the Bridge Walk that's coming up this Saturday. They're a sponsor of that, as well as let's have a little discussion about trade. So let's take a look at the interview I had with Rory yesterday. Rory Ring from the Sault Ste. Marie Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for joining us again at ONNtv.
Thank you. Always appreciate the invitation.
Well, you've been a pretty regular fixture here between.
We got lots to talk about.
I know. You were here for the election, and then the follow-up to the election, and then with the tariffs that happened, you showed up for that. You came down on a moment's notice to help us talk through that scenario, what that means to our community, and now you're here as an ambassador for the Bridge Walk.
Absolutely. It's the 32nd year that we've had the International Bridge Walk.
Well, that's just about as old as you and me. Why are you laughing, Rory? 32 years, really? I've never done it.
No?
No. Well, I was gone for a number of years in my defense, but I think I ought to.
And actually, I've not done it either.
Okay, so this year, are we in?
No.
Oh, what's going on?
This chicken doesn't fly.
This turkey doesn't walk.
Yeah, I'm not too keen on the heights.
No. Really? Is that
Now,
what it
now
is?
my wife Michelle, she did the arch walk.
What does that mean?
She went over top of that rail.
What are you talking about? They let you do that?
Yeah, you have to clip on.
Who did that?
Michelle did that with a group of young ladies.
When?
Last summer, I think it was.
I didn't know you could do that.
Absolutely.
How do you mean? Is it an event, or do you book a?
So
thing?
she actually won it through a live auction at the United Way Golf Tournament. But you can actually buy the opportunity.
I'm not afraid of heights. I would do that.
Yeah. Well, maybe they'll have an auction and somebody will invite you.
Cool. The United Way. All right. Hey, well, the United Way. That's the big. I'm doing that. Big Cup Scramble today,
yeah.
and I'm going to go and MC the live auction.
Yeah.
That's today because we know this is Monday, and we're seeing this on Tuesday, but it was yesterday. Anyway, what are we talking about? Oh yeah, the bridge walk.
Yeah.
But before we get to the bridge walk, I want to talk a little bit about what's going on now. We've just had our election, and so we've got a PC government, and they have their Republican government in the United States, and we're having a bit of difficulty between our two countries right now.
Well, it's politics. Right, and I think especially us being a border town, really understand what it means to create that community between ourselves. Whether we're Sault, Ontario, or Sault, Michigan, we've really evolved for over 150 years, and even as our Indigenous communities would say, since in memoriam. So we've always had a very close knit community, and we understand each other, and I think that we're sharing in some of the challenges that the isolationist movement in the U.S. is starting to take on. So
the isolationist movement is referring, of course, to the fact that they really are encouraging Americans to buy American. They don't want trade agreements with a group of countries. They want one-on-one trade agreements so that everybody benefits. America first. That is sort of where they're headed right now.
Absolutely,
and that has not been our history.
No, I mean, but we do have, America's always had sort of an underlying Buy American policy. I mean, obviously in Canada, we want to shop local. I mean, those campaigns have happened, over a number of years, and as the currency exchange fluctuates, so does commerce between our two communities.
Isn't that only natural? You mean you want to save money, so, and I personally, for me, I think it's a balancing act. I mean, there are times when, okay, if it's going to cost me $1 more to buy these apples from Canada, I'm going to do that. If it's going to cost me $50 more to buy this piece of something, whatever electronic equipment from Canada, I might just go across or go use Amazon, whatever. And
yep, and there's the diversity of products that are available too, right? But we've always had that relationship. I mean, understanding that the United States is basically 10 times the population that it is in Canada. 80% of Canada's population lives within 100 miles of the border. So you cannot help but have a very strong relationship with our U.S. counterparts, right? So I think what we're seeing today is definitely stressing that relationship. I mean, nobody could counter that. But our sense is that we really need to engage the population of the U.S. We need to engage the business community to remind the administration in the U.S. that fair and open trade between our countries benefits everybody, right? So, we need to try to balance our initial reaction, which might be to say, I'm not going to shop anything U.S. I'm not going to travel to the U.S. and I'm not going to do this, because at the end of the day, when you do that, you are hurting their economy as well, which is you're also damaging small businesses over there, where we really need to be able to say, listen, those businesses need to help support us, and our messaging to the U.S. administration is that, Canada and U.S. have got a strong relationship, that we support each other, and we need to make sure that we're not damaging each other's economy.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and talk about how we can maintain this relationship with our American counterparts, how we can remain the Twin Cities and support each other, and how the Bridge Walk is an excellent way of doing just that, showing that sense of camaraderie and
mutual support.
Absolutely.
Okay, so stay with us. We'll be right back with Rory Ring from the Sault Ste. Marie Chamber of Commerce talking about the 32nd International Bridge Walk and Bicycle Parade coming up on Saturday, June 23rd. Back right after this. So we are back with Rory Ring from the Sault Ste. Marie Chamber of Commerce, and we're discussing not just the International Bridge Walk that's coming up this coming Saturday, but also just a little bit about trade relations between our twin cities. And just before we went to break, we were saying, let's try to avoid the knee-jerk reaction of wanting to say, I refuse to cross the bridge anymore and I will not buy US, because ultimately that is damaging to both our communities. Is that the message?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's sort of let the politicians wade through all the muck and the mire, and let's just continue to support each other, because a family in Sault, Michigan is a family in Sault, Ontario, is a family in Toledo, Ohio, is a family in Brampton, Ontario. So we really need to support each other.
Fair enough. So speaking of that mutual support, mutual respect, the Bridge Walk. This is a symbolic of the relationship that we have had with our American neighbors?
Absolutely. And I think it's actually probably more important this year than it ever has been. I mean, 32 years we've been hosting with the Sault Michigan Chamber of Commerce.
You have strong connections with them, yes? Our Sault Ste. Marie Chamber,
absolutely,
the Ontario Chamber, and the Michigan Chamber?
We've really built a very strong relationship with each other, and they're, of course, a smaller chamber because it's a smaller community, but a very active chamber.
They are, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. We were just at their golf tournament a couple weeks ago, and I spoke at their economic luncheon about a month ago as well on steel and the potential impacts that might have on our communities.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's we're very much intertwined, not just from personal relationships but also with business relationships. So we have some members of our Chamber of Commerce are Sault Michigan businesses, and there's some Sault Ontario members that are part of the Sault Michigan Chamber of Commerce.
And so are both chambers involved? I see, oh yes, I can see on the poster that both chambers are very involved in the Bridge Walk itself.
Absolutely, and we're launching this year from the Marconi Club, which is fantastic.
That's where you start?
That's where we're going to be starting.
With Rosetta?
Yes, with Rosetta.
And this is still June, so it's still Italian Heritage Month, by the way, just so you know. So Rosetta.
No coincidence, no.
Yeah, so you're at the Marconi to
so
start.
It starts off in the Marconi. The buses will leave at 7 a.m. to bring the Canadians over to the American side, and then at the Norris Center there's a breakfast. I think the cost is $7 US or $9 Canadian. So, and they have a little bit of a launch there. Marshy Bruni is going to bring some welcoming remarks from Sault, Ontario.
From Sault, Ontario, nice.
Yeah, and then of course that is the Torch and Bicycle Parade, so the Torch Run.
Right, which we know because our friends Sergeant Baker and Constable Beaulieu, as you've seen if you've been watching, they are running across Northern Ontario as we speak, and they'll be arriving back in Sault Ste. Marie in time for the Bridge Walk for the passing of the torch, and that's all about the Special Olympics that are coming to the Sault.
Absolutely, and if that's, when you take a look at that, if our accommodation fills up here in Sault, Ontario, people will stay in Sault, Michigan. So,
nice.
Where our economies are linked very strongly, so we know we need to stand in solidarity to again communicate to the U.S. administration that we need to treat each other with respect. I think I had mentioned to you prior. There's a think tank in Washington where Suite is actually one of their lead commentators.
What's her name again?
Laura Dawson.
Okay, Laura originally from the Sault, and now she's down in Washington think tank.
Washington. So
she has a great quote.
She has a great quote, and I'm going to give it to you.
Okay, beautiful.
Lashing out at Canada is a bit like slapping your grandmother. She probably won't hit you back, but it's not very satisfying, and nobody respects you very much afterwards. I mean, you can't say it any better than that.
You can't.
Right? So.
Don't slap your grandma. Well, let's all walk together now. So we get on the bus at the Marconi, we go across the bridge, and we're going to have breakfast together with our friends and neighbors of the South. Marshy's going to be there, and then what happens?
Then they'll bring all the people across the bridge.
We all do the walk.
You do all the walk together and wear your Canada t-shirts. If you have a Canada-US t-shirt, be proud to be a Canadian, be proud to be an American, and let's share the time together. The buses leave from the Marconi between 7 and 8. Last bus is a hard start at 8 o'clock.
You got to be on that bus if you want to be on the walk.
If you miss it, you're on your own. So
do the buses cost money?
Yeah, so the fee is $5 per person, Canadian or US,
Okay.
Or $15 per family,
Oh,
and that just
oh.
pays for the buses, right? So,
Okay.
you know, we bring the buses over from the US because there's certain regulations that make it easier to do that. So that fee is just really to cover the cost of the buses, and then you come back through to the Marconi, and the buses will then take our American friends back over to Michigan. So
vice versa.
And I think Rosetta might have some espresso and maybe some Italian sausage.
Very nice.
For an early breakfast.
You could do your bicycle too.
Yep, and there's the
Bicycle
bicycle parade as well.
So they can go to the Sioux Bicycling Club here in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. They'll
Yes.
have information. I have a
Yep.
phone number. Oh, that's the American number.
Yep,
But you
and
can,
they will sort of meet just around the International Bridge offices there through Canadian Customs, and then proceed to the Norris Center as well, and then they'll be first to come across
and
the
so
bridge.
it's a 3-mile or a 4.8-kilometer walk, so be prepared for that. Wear sensible shoes, good footwear.
And bring
You wanna
some
be
water.
comfortable. Bring some water, right? Some sunscreen
Yep.
if it's going to be nice, and it's
Yep.
supposed to be nice.
Yes, and we do have an accessibility van, so if
Excellent.
you need assistance, it's there. Also, the ability to put kiddie carriers on the buses to get you back and forth with your kids.
You can bring your kids, umbrella strollers only though. Large strollers can't be transported on the bus, so umbrella strollers. And what about documentation, Rory? What do we need?
Documentation, got to bring your ID, valid passport, valid Nexus card, valid enhanced driver's license, or the INAC, which I am not sure what that actually stands for.
I think that might be, is that Indigenous? It might be.
Oh, it could be, yes.
It could be for First Nations.
So either one of those,
Okay.
one of those 4 pieces of identification will, and this year they're actually closing the bridge. So the bridge will be actually shut down from about, I think 7:45 to about 10 o'clock. So the bridge will be wide open this year with no traffic, so should run very nice and smooth.
I'm looking forward to hearing about. I'm going to be in Sudbury this weekend. Unfortunately, I can't be there, but I'm looking forward to hearing about how it all turned out.
Terrific.
And Rory's going to join me on point. We're going to talk a little more about trade and what's going on between our two countries and how it's affecting us locally, and some advice probably from some local businesses about how best to deal with this situation. So join Rory and I on point at 8 o'clock here on TV. But for now, thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Yes,
and we'll be back with more Mornings with Luann and Tim right after this. It is a beautiful Tuesday morning in Sault Ste. Marie. Welcome back to Mornings with Luann and Tim. How are you now?
Awesome. Just, you know what? Very interesting perspective from Rory Ring, because I think a lot of us our first reaction is, oh yeah? Well, guess what? I'm not going across the river then. I won't shop there. But he's saying, like, just easy. Let the politicians take care of it.
He's saying that, and he's also saying that it doesn't really do either community any good at this level to don't stop shopping Canadian, don't stop paying attention to labels, do what you always did, but at the same time punishing a community that is our twin city is, Rory is saying, that isn't the way to go.
Well, and it's not going to do a lot. Like.
Do we really want to hurt the economy of our? They're only how many people? They're 45, 50, not even. I think it's 45,000 at the most. I mean, they need to make a living too, and they. I mean, do we really want to blame them for what the administration is doing? I guess that's what Rory is saying, and let our administration deal with their administration.
Let their politicians take care of it.
And let's treat each other like the neighbors that we always have
Exactly.
been.
You know what? Just because the big shots forget, we remember what it's like to be a good neighbor.
And he's saying that it's to continue on with the sort of the relationship that we have is going to prove that we do need this sort of fair and balanced trade.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that it is a system that has worked and that can continue to work if we just sit down together and continue to
If
work.
it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
Just leave it alone.
Yeah.
You know? So we have some more pictures.
We
so
found,
exciting.
Monique and Sean sent more pictures from their tour across Northern Ontario.
Yes, and what a way to tour. They're carrying a torch and running.
Did they get to Wawa? So they got to Wawa.
They got to Wawa.
Do we have a picture of the goose? Did they get to the?
There's the goose.
And that's the new. Who's that lady?
That's Mary.
What did Mary do?
I don't know.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, Mary.
I wonder if Mary's running with them.
Maybe. She looks like she's a runner.
She does. Well, you don't get to be Mary's age without being fit.
Exactly.
And what did you say she does?
Now the next one
What's the next one?
Still in Wawa.
Well, look, you know what? That's Monique first thing in the morning.
Oh, he said that, Monique. I had nothing to do.
Me. I'm going to end up in an OPP lockup somewhere.
How Canadiana is that shot?
I love that.
Right?
And he's got the torch there. Is that the torch beside him? And a pickle.
And he's holding the pickle.
He's feeding the moose a pickle.
Yeah, and I don't even want to know what the pickle thing's all about.
I don't know. We'll have to ask Sean when he gets back why you give a moose a pickle.
Yeah. So they are getting ready to get started this morning. So let's go to them and see what they're up to.
What are they up to? It's like, where's Waldo again?
Yes, again.
Actually, we can't talk too loud because the polar bears are still sleeping. It's pretty early. Anyways, here we are. We're in Cochrane. Yesterday, we traveled over 800 kilometers and we had 3 runs, one in Wawa and Hearst, and our last one in Campus Casing, where we had an overwhelming support from the community.
So today is day number 2 of our run across the Northeast region for Special Olympics. And today we're starting this morning in Cochrane. After that, we're going to be in Iroquois Falls, then Matheson, and then we're finishing off at 5 o'clock tonight in Timmins. So we have an exciting day ahead. Again, we're going to cover lots of distance, and hopefully we get just as many people out to all the law enforcement torch runs today in all those communities, just like we did yesterday. It was an amazing day with the turnout that we had at those runs.
And we'll tune back in with you tomorrow morning and let you know where we are. Bye.
Awesome. They look so happy still. 800 miles?
800 kilometers in one day?
Oh my goodness. They actually got farther than they expected to.
They did. They were there earlier.
Yes.
And the community support. I love that we're getting to see all these communities across Northern Ontario supporting the torch run and the Special Olympics. Yeah,
so they're hoping to get to.
Oh, sorry.
They're hoping to get to Timmins by 5-ish tonight. So maybe we'll get some more pictures.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they were going to try to find a landmark in every community of some sort that they could then send us a photo of, and pictures with the community as well. So tomorrow morning we'll see what they ended up with at the end of the day today, and then we'll have another installment with them in the
Can't wait.
morning show tomorrow.
It's so much nicer to watch as they run.
It is. And I hear that my guests have arrived.
Yes, this
from
is a good
Refugee
thing.
705. I'm really interested to hear about this program. They've got a couple of different programs on the go with Refugee 705, and I don't even know who Sarah McCleary brought. So I'm going to go. We're going to go to commercial.
Let's go find out.
Go find out who's here. So stay with us. We'll be back with more Mornings with Luann and Tim and Refugee 705 right after this. So I've been saying that Sarah McCleary is joining us all morning, and it's not Sarah McCleary, it's Simone. Hello, Simone.
Hi.
How are you? Good. Nice to see you. Sarah sent you.
Yes.
You work with Sarah on the Refugee 705 project?
That's correct.
Yes.
So we're all together on Refugee 705, and I run their Global Friends program.
Excellent. Thanks for being here. And this is Danielle.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, Danielle. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Tim.
Now, you are involved with the Refugee 705 program. How?
Yes, so I'm a volunteer. I'm a member of the Refugee 705.
Yes.
And I've been a member for about 2 years.
2 years?
Yes.
And where are you from originally?
So I am a new Canadian.
Oh, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. I'm very proud. Yes.
When
thanks.
did you get your citizenship?
Last December.
Ah,
yes.
Really great. That's
very
so
new.
Yes.
Yes. And I'm born and raised in France.
Born and raised in France.
And originally from Syria.
And Syria.
Yes.
So you lived in Syria at one time?
Yes, I did live for about 6 years.
6 years in Syria. Now, I admit I know nothing about Syria other than that there's a civil war going on and that people are having to flee because they are being persecuted. Are you able to tell me a little bit about what the situation is like for the people in Syria?
So there is a conflict in Syria since March 2011. And,
so that's 7 years and a half, 7.5 years, okay.
Yes, yeah. And unfortunately, there's no signs that things are getting better. There's more and more refugees. And so, it's been very sad.
So, For people who are living there, who the reason that they're fleeing, can you share some of the facts about why people are, what the conditions it is that they are running, that they have to leave to save their lives and their families' lives?
Well, it's very unsafe, very unstable. There's unfortunately groups of, we don't really know who is fighting who, so it's a civil war. And it's very unsafe. Most of the deaths are children. Children are dying. They're the ones who are suffering the most in this war. And families are fleeing Syria because they want a future for their kids. They want to make sure they get an education, a future. And so they go usually in Turkey or Lebanon or Jordan or Egypt. And then they dream of living in a safe place like Canada or in Europe, or, to provide a future for their children.
How many refugees have we welcomed to Canada? Do we have a figure on that?
Yes, we have about 45,000 in Canada. But in the world, do you know right now how many refugees we have?
I do not know.
Do you think we have more or less refugees with years?
More.
More, yeah. According to the UNHCR, we have about 68.5 million refugees, and more than 50% are under 18 years old. Yeah.
Okay. So, hence the need for the Refugee 705 program.
Yes.
Simone, when did this program start and how did we come across it? Tell me a little bit about the history of Refugee 705.
Refugee 705 started in 2015. Yeah, and the idea was to be kind of like Algoma's kind of response to the refugee crisis. So in order to kind of provide resources and information so that if people wanted to, say, like sponsor a family to bring them to Canada, we have private sponsorships, for example, through different organizations, churches locally. So it was kind of like, this is happening, how can we get involved, what can we do about it? So it was more of an information portal. There was also a few local events, and they decided, we want to go past that. We want to really make like real changes in the community. They really kind of, get involved personally, start taking action ourselves. And we thought the best way to do that was through youth, making Sault Ste. Marie more a welcoming community. And what happened was they applied through the Ontario Trillium Foundation,
yes.
And we got our program. So we have Global Friends now, and I'm the program coordinator for that. And what it is really about providing recreational opportunities, building friendships, doing culture sharing activities. We run, over the summer, I'm starting a summer camp, so we'll be doing that every Thursday, which is really exciting. But we've done such a wide range of activities from, sports, to arts and crafts, to participating with our Indigenous communities. It's really just, like I said, an opportunity for them to get to know Sault Ste. Marie, but also for Sault Ste. Marie to get to know them. So far, it's been really successful. We have about, I think, 20 youth that come out consistently. It's mostly newcomers. We've also had some quite large events. We've had drum festivals. We have dance events, kind of a little bit of everything. But it's been a really wonderful ride. We've really enjoyed it, and it seems like the kids are really getting something positive out of it.
Danielle, are you feeling support from the community of Sault Ste. Marie?
Yes, we are very blessed to be in an amazing community. Lots of support, very understanding, welcoming. And tomorrow is World Refugee Day.
Oh.
Yes.
So this is timely.
Yes. And for that, we're having a very big event.
Tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow, and I hope everybody can come. It's for the community. It's to celebrate diversity.
Okay.
And to welcome everyone, welcome refugees, Aboriginals, Métis, everybody, Canadian. We just want to celebrate all together with great music. There's going to be drummers and musicians from all over, from different groups, and we're going to have face painting and ice cream and food.
Okay, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, I want to hear more about the event, where it is, what time it is, more about some of the activities and some of the performances. I'm hoping will there be cultural performances or anything. Okay, cool. This is fascinating. Yeah. This is important. This is so important. I think that I should have you guys back for an On Point episode. There's an evening program, Daniel, that I do called On Point, where we can spend a whole half hour talking about issues. And I think this is something that deserves this kind of attention, because we're not going to get through all the stuff I want to know about the program and about refugees in Sault Ste. Marie in this segment. So I'm inviting you back for an evening installment, right now. But we're going to go to commercial, come back, and we'll talk more about the event tomorrow. And a little bit more about what it's like to be a refugee arriving in Sault Ste. Marie. I can't even imagine to come from a country like Syria and then arrive here with only the clothes on your back for some people, right?
Sure, yeah.
We'll be back right after this. More Mornings with Luann and Tim. I'm back talking with Daniel and Simone from Refugee 705. I checked out the website, Refugee 705 website, and I did get some information, and I saw that there are a couple of different programs. You mentioned the youth program that you're working with. Daniel, you're working in the area of settlement. Can you talk to that a little bit before we talk about tomorrow being National World Refugee Day? Let's talk about what your work with the settlements.
Okay, so we have welcomed about 150 people, so that's about 30 families. So what we do is welcome them from the airport. We go to the airport because they arrive in Canada and they don't know anything. They don't know who is going to expect them at the airport. They don't know where they're going. They don't know where they're sleeping. So we make sure that we welcome them very nicely. We introduce ourselves. We tell them who we are, what we're going to do. And then the following weeks, we just help them to start a life, paperwork, find houses, a house, education, healthcare. We literally help them with every aspect of their lives so that they can start living in Sault Ste. Marie, and we hope they will stay in Sault Ste. Marie as well.
We do hope that, because we've been looking in this community for ways to grow our population, to grow the family base, and this is a great way to not only save people from persecution who've done nothing wrong other than being born in a certain place and having certain beliefs. That is the only reason that they are being driven out of their country.
That's right.
And again, they're arriving with nothing. If anybody is horrified by what's happening at the border in the United States right now, then you should be so pleased that we live in a country where we don't do that to people, where we don't tell them, sorry, we can't take you in, go back, and you might die and your children might die because we don't have room or time for you, and we don't have a process that will bring you into our society. One of the things you're doing with the youth is integrating them into society through social activities.
Yeah, absolutely. And one nice thing about it as well, when we're talking about trying to have youth retention in Sault Ste. Marie, it is open to other youth in our community. So, Canadian youth, Indigenous youth, if they want to take part in the program, they're more than welcome to. And it's an opportunity for them, for our newcomers, to see that there are things to do in the Soo. We do have a lot of things going on here. Sometimes we don't always know about it, but it is here. So it's an opportunity for them to learn about safe spaces, for them to see what's happening, for them to get involved with different community resources, whether we're going to the art gallery, whether we're doing, soccer at Clerk Park. It's just that kind of exposure of there is a home to be made in Sault Ste. Marie, and there's lots of reasons to stay here and that you can actually have a wonderful life and thrive in this community.
There are a number of people in our community, and I'm sorry to admit this, that don't think that Sault Ste. Marie is the greatest place to live on earth. You hear them, pardon the expression, bitch and moan about our city, and I just think maybe it's a good idea for someone to think a little bit about what we have here. And how fortunate we really are to live in this community. Daniel, are there a number of languages that are spoken in Syria? Are there different languages spoken in Syria?
Yes, there are different languages. The main language is Arabic, and there's different dialects.
And are you fluent?
Yes, I am.
So that must be a wonderful thing for people to get off a plane in a strange city and not know anything about what's going to happen to them, and suddenly they hear someone speaking in their own language to make them feel welcome and to tell them everything's going to be okay and we're going to help you.
Oh yeah, and I've been a translator too for job interviews and translating workshops and medical appointments, lots of translation. Yeah.
And is all of this volunteer on your part, Daniel?
Well, some is volunteer and some is work.
Some of it is work,
I work at the Sioux Community Care Center.
Oh, you do?
Yes, I'm a settlement counselor, case manager, and now I'm in employment consultant.
That's incredible. So you've obviously made Sault Ste. Marie your home. Is this?
Oh yes. Yes, I've been here for 7 years.
7?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And at first, I didn't like it. I have to be honest.
Well, there's weather.
Yeah, I don't know. At first it was hard, but now I love
Tell
it.
me
I
what-
cannot
tell me what-
imagine myself anywhere else.
Tell me what, that's good, me too.
Yes.
But tell me some of the other things that were barriers to you actually being able to be content with Sault Ste. Marie.
Well-
And I like honesty.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't know anyone.
No.
So that was very challenging to get to know people.
Because
meet
we are a
people.
pretty tight-knit community. I mean, yeah.
And the weather doesn't help to go out. Like the snow and the cold, you want to stay home most of the time.
I know, I can't even imagine being, and that's another thing, a Syrian refugee, probably, they've never seen snow.
Some arrive and they love the snow. And
Yes.
some are very scared.
We took them, we ended up, our program went skiing at Sault Ste.
Yes.
This winter. It was so much fun. We had a really great time, and that's the one thing that I really love about the youth that I work with is just, at first they'd never, we had one family just arrived, and they're out there, they've never had those experiences before, and everyone's falling, and they still keep going, no one complains, and by the end everyone's going off jumps. There's some of the older boys are on the main, and I'm just really moved by it because it's a learning experience for me too, but it's just the life and the vitality and just everyone showing up all the time, ready to party, ready to be there, happy to be there. It's just, I have the best job in the world. I really absolutely.
And just recently I was at the graduation ceremonies for the Northland Adult Education Center, and they have an English as a second language program, and many of their students are Syrian refugees and refugees from other cities and other immigrants, and they're having great success with that program in helping people learn to speak English. I think I'm going to be doing a feature on them as well. So, can you address the issue of people saying that refugees get better treatment than Canadian citizens? Because that is a fallacy that I would like to debunk right here and now for anybody who thinks that our seniors don't get the kind of care that refugees get, or that our welfare recipients don't get the kind of care. That is not true, and can you address that?
That's absolutely not true. They do receive some help, but it's less than other programs for veterans or disability, or it's a different program, and they don't get any special treatment. They're pretty much the same as anyone.
Okay, tomorrow's party, the World Refugee Day, is that what you said? World
Yes,
Refugee Day.
June 20th is World Refugee Day all around the world.
And what's going on?
So in Sault Ste. Marie, this is our third year, and every year we have a theme. The first year was about awareness, the second year was about giving back to the community, and this year it's about celebrating diversity.
Okay.
So we're mainly going to focus on music.
Yes.
We're going to have great drummers and people playing violin and
where is the
singing.
event?
In the downtown. So
Yes.
it's in partnership with the Downtown Association.
Oh, Downtown Association, so it's all downtown.
They're amazing.
All right, so if you want to check it out, where do we find more information?
So we have our Facebook pages, Refugee 705, and as well as Global Friends. So our office, where my youth space is located on 477 Queen Street.
Okay.
Right at the Queen Center building.
Yes.
So right where March Street is.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so that's where the activities are going to be taking place. We have
the
kids
March
activities.
stage.
March Street stage.
Yeah, so we have toys.
I've got to wrap it up, or
and
we're never going to see Luann Young again. So make sure you check everything out tomorrow.
4
March Street
p.m.
stage, 4 p.m. March Street stage.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Danielle and Simone, Refugee
you.
705. We'll be back to say goodbye right after this.
Thanks.
And welcome back. We're at the tail end of the show, mornings with Luann and Tim on TV. That was such an interesting
I have to have them
conversation.
back, Refugee 705.
Yes.
And tomorrow, 4 o'clock till 6:30, I think she said, I'll have more information on tomorrow's show about the National Refugee Day.
Yeah.
World Refugee Day.
And you could just go on and on and on.
Yeah, I could.
Right?
And I do.
But I mean, as far as information and personal experience, and I love the skiing story. She said all the kids were like doing the jumps, and they'd
By the
never
end of
even
the
seen
day.
snow. Like, imagine?
Amazing.
I'm still like this
You
at
still
the
do
top of the hill.
snowplow?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes, I do the snow
Well, let's
plow.
go enjoy the sunshine.
Okay,
Lou.
let's do it.
And we'll see you tomorrow on Mornings with Luann and Tim. Thanks for joining us on TV.
Have an awesome day.